I am live. Hey, replay viewers, this is Tim David, recent host of the Next Stage Speaking Summit, founder of GetSpeakingGigs.com, and author of Get Speaking Gigs, the book that I don't have any left of because I shipped a ton of those books this morning. If you ordered a book during the summit, you can get it. You will be getting it this next week. It's already Friday. It is Friday. So after the summit, a lot of people ask me this question: how do I manage it all? How do I do it all? How do I make how do I get results from everything that I've learned? Because I was trying to drink from a fire hose. There's 44 speakers, including me. And wow, so much to think about, so much to do. So we're going to talk a little bit today about how to cope with overwhelm, how to cope with overwhelm. Yes, we're starting our implementation groups. You all know that. I just sent out an email this morning about the implementation groups. Today's the last day to get on that. That's fine. We will do the stuff that I'm going to talk about here, as far as breaking it down, focusing, etc., etc. So I pulled up an article on on Huffington Post, which I used to be an author for. I used to write a contributor for Huffington Post, and I suppose I still could be, but they had a contributor platform, and I was one of the sort of founding contributors of this contributor platform. And I just started posting stuff, and then they took it down. I don't know. There was one article I posted that I started to wonder, did I cause that? That's another story for another day. All right. Number one idea for dealing with overwhelm is just sort of, it's counterintuitive, but to be still, to meditate, if you will, to be mindful, to just kind of take some breaths and relax for a second, because sometimes the activity contributes to the feeling of overwhelm, and sometimes just being still allows you to create that focus. That's the tip. That's the first tip that they put on Huffington Post. Number two is to then, after you do that, then take a few quick action items that you can get some easy wins with. So you can start checking things off, even if it is write a to-do list. Literally write out to do. Write a to-do list. All right. That way you can check that item off. And the idea, just the action of scratching something off, makes you feel like you're moving towards something and getting some progress. Eliminate things from the to-do list without even doing them. Just take it off the to-do list and be like, you know what? That's really not that important. That's going to be a tomorrow or a Wednesday or a Saturday thing, right? I know it's going to get done. I don't have to think about it anymore. I'm going to take it out of my brain and put it into the calendar over here, or I'm going to take it out of my brain and put it in the trash and say, that's not really that important. Or I'm going to take it out of my brain and give it to my assistant, right? Or I'm going to hire a VA or somebody like that to help me with this stuff. All right, set realistic goals is number 4. Realistic is a dirty word to me. I like to swing for the fences and aim high. However, you know what? You got to be okay with the no when you aim super high. You got to be okay with that. If you're not okay with it, then that's where the realistic part comes in. What are you realistically okay with somebody saying no to, or you falling short of? What are you realistically okay with falling short of? So if I were to say I'm going to make $1 million next week, I'm realistically okay with falling short of that. All right, that's why that's not a realistic goal. Lean on people and delegate. Lean on people and delegate. We kind of talked about that. Friends, family, if you don't have an assistant, if you have a real job, coworkers to help share the load, as they say in Lord of the Rings. Be kind to yourself. In other words, don't beat yourself up. That's number 6. Don't beat yourself up. Number 7, they talk about prioritizing. So taking that to-do list and moving them around as far as what is most important, not to other people, not to your goals. What's most important to your values? People, listen, I know there's not a lot of people in these live streams. I see one right now on Facebook. That's fine. This is for the replay. And it's also my own challenge to live stream every day, because that's what Darren LaCroix taught us. He said, live stream every day. He said 77 days. We'll see how far I can get. I might do 100. I might do 200. I might do 10. We'll see how far it goes. But my goal is to do at least 2 weeks. And so listen, hear me. Those of you live, those of you replay, this is huge. The moment I switched prioritizing my activities, my interests, my focus from goals to values, everything changed. Everything changed. Because now it's no longer about, well, I've got to make this much money, I've got to do this many calls today. I've got to sort of, does this align with my purpose? Does it not align with my purpose? And switching from goals to values and identifying. It's easy to identify goals. It's hard to identify values, or harder to identify values. So identifying those values and then living in accordance with those values allows you to live authentically, be authentic, and you just start doing you. And it's easy to do you. It's much easier to do you than to do someone else, right? Well, let's keep the minds out of the gutters for that comment right there. That's the thing that happens with live streams, people. Never know what's going to fall out of your face. Hey, if you are watching live, type in a comment. I want to know if it's even working. If you are watching live, just type in a comment. Just say, hey, Tim. All right, next. So that's huge right there. That was number 7. Prioritize your prioritize values. Prioritize values. And by the way, I'm kind of rewriting this article as I'm reading it to you because, I didn't write this, and some of the stuff I disagree with, so I'm kind of putting my spin on it. A lot of times people are talking about how do you know what to speak about? What is your speaking topic? Where do you get content from? Well, where does a musician get ideas for music from? Chris Brogan was talking about, rock and roll is like four bars, and it's just the combinations of the different chords and the different rhythms that make the music. So combinate, take someone's ideas, think about them, ruminate upon them, compare them to other people's ideas, and before you know it, you're going to have your own ideas. Number 8, don't multitask. Studies have shown that multitasking is a myth. I'm going to leave it at that. I would agree. Do not multitask. Focus one thing at a time. A lot of people say eat the frog first, do the hard task first. But if you're feeling overwhelmed, then you do a small task to get a small win. But you don't multitask. You don't try to do 2 things at once. That is a recipe for disaster. Number 9, change your energy. Well, if you can't change your mind about feeling overwhelmed, if you can't change your emotions about feeling overwhelmed, try changing your body. Try getting up. Try changing position. Try going for a jog. Try stretching. Try deep breaths. Try changing your energy. Good tip right there. Good tip. And then number 10, remember the bigger picture. Obviously, keep things in perspective. That is a great tip. All right, so I'm not seeing any comments. Maybe it's not working. But that is it. 10 ideas for coping with overwhelm. And what a great time to be talking about feeling overwhelmed right after a 10-day mega summit with 44 presenters and hundreds, if not thousands of ideas, of actionable ideas. People were saying they had, dozens of pages of notes of things to go and do. And I do not want you to fall into that category of speaking is too hard, it's too big, because I want you to be on a stage. I want you to be on a screen. I want your message to get out there. I think that speakers are deciding the future, quite frankly. It's always been, men of words, as they say. So look at this. I got my book right here, holding up my laptop. My book, Magic Words. I put this quote right up front, and I'm going to read it. I haven't read it in a while, so I'm curious to see how this hits me now. But here's the quote right here. We know that words cannot move mountains, but they can move the multitude. So if you've ever seen, my TEDx talk, I say, if you want to move mountains, you've got to be able to move people. See, and that quote has sort of been attributed to me, even though it was inspired by, we know that words cannot move mountains, but they can move the multitude. And I thought, well, they can move people. Well, if you want to move mountains, you got to be able to move people. Same deal. All right. Words shape our thought, stir feeling, and beget action. They kill and revive, corrupt and cure. Here we go. The men of words, priests, prophets, intellectuals have played a more decisive role in history than military leaders, statesmen, and businessmen. Martin Luther King Jr. comes to mind. Abraham Lincoln comes to mind, although he's probably a statesman. Gandhi, people who have used their message to change the world. So that is my goal. My goal is that you are able to use your message to change, maybe not the world, but maybe your world, maybe someone's world, maybe an industry. And if you're overwhelmed, if you're frozen, if you're paralyzed by too much, then that's no good either. So, hey, listen, get over to getspeakinggigs.com. There's a 5-day email series. Just start there. It's broken down. Here are the people to contact. Here's what you say. Here's why. This is the process. Go for it. Break it down little by little. And if you really are serious, if you really want to get into an implementation group, by all means, please do check your emails. I'll post a link below this video for the implementation groups as well. It's a mastermind. We get together, we brainstorm, we collaborate, we hold each other accountable, and there's still a couple of spots left for the implementation groups. So that is that. You can join for either 3 months or 6 months, either 3-month group or a 6-month group. It's totally up to you. Whatever your financial situation, whatever your level of commitment is, will be welcomed either way. We just want you to be empowered and encouraged and not overwhelmed. So there you have it. 10 ideas for dealing with overwhelm, a couple of tools to help you do it, be it a free email course or day one. You can get day one's recordings for free too. Let me know. I'll get you those if you don't have them already. And then the implementation groups. So that is what I have for you today. We will speak soon.